back to the Music and Therapy Podcast, where we explore emotional healing and how to build healthy relationships through honest conversation and practical tools. I am your host, Keana W. Mitchell, relationship coach, podcast producer, and advocate for safe, loving connections. Today, we're diving into a topic that hits close to home for many of us, and that is how to rebuild trust after betrayal. Whether it's infidelity, dishonesty, or emotional abandonment, betrayal can shake the very foundation of a relationship. But healing is possible, and today I'm going to walk you through how to begin that process. But before we do that, let's have our little recap from last week. So in last week, we talked about how to repair communication after a conflict. So if you missed this episode, I highly, strongly recommend that you go back and listen to it. Here are a few takeaways from last week's episode. Takeaway number 1, conflict doesn't destroy relationships. Poor communication does. Last week, we explored the power of active listening, where you listen to understand and not to respond. We also practiced reflective statements like, "What I hear you saying is," to reduce defensiveness. These tools laid the groundwork for today's conversation, because rebuilding trust starts with repairing communication. To listen to last week's episode of the podcast, click the link in the show notes. Let's be honest, betrayal hurts. It creates emotional distance, breaks down safety, and often leads to a cycle of blame and withdrawal. But here's the truth. Trust isn't rebuilt through grand gestures. It's rebuilt through consistent, small actions over time. So if you're the one who betrayed someone, you might be feeling guilt, shame, or fear of rejection. If you're the one who was betrayed, you might be feeling confused, angry, or even numb. Both sides need healing, and both sides need the tools to heal. So let's talk about the science behind betrayal, because it just isn't emotional pain. It's neurological pain, psychological pain, and even physical pain. According to Dr. Jennifer Freed, who developed the betrayal trauma theory, betrayal trauma occurs when someone you depend on for survival, whether it's emotional, physical, or financial, violates your trust. This kind of trauma is especially damaging because it's not just the act itself. It is the shattering of safety, the shattering of identity and attachment. Dr. John Gottman, one of the most respected relationship researchers, says that betrayal is the secret at the heart of every failing relationship. And it's not just infidelity. It's the everyday betrayals, when your partner doesn't show up emotionally, when they dismiss your fears, when they choose something else over you over and over and over again. These micro betrayals erode trust over time, leaving emotional scars that can feel just as deep as a major betrayal. So we do have several types of betrayal, and what I'm going to do right now is break down each type of betrayal and how it affects you emotionally and physically. So the first type of betrayal we're going to talk about is one that I'm sure everyone's familiar with, and one that gets a lot of talk, and this is infidelity. So when we talk about infidelity, it is often described as an emotional earthquake. It triggers symptoms similar to post-traumatic stress disorder, intrusive thoughts, hypervigilance, emotional numbness, and panic attacks. The betrayed partner may experience a loss of identity, self-worth, and trust in their own judgment. Physically, this stress can lead to insomnia, digestive issues, weakened immunity, and even cardiovascular problems. So you see how even though it was a betrayal, it can affect you, not just emotionally and mentally, but also physically. Another betrayal that a lot of us have gone through is called dishonesty. So chronic dishonesty creates cognitive dissonance. Your brain struggles to reconcile what you're told and what you feel. This can lead to anxiety, confusion, and emotional dysregulation. You may start doubting your reality, which is a hallmark of betrayal trauma. Over time, dishonesty can cause emotional exhaustion, depression, and difficulty forming secure attachments. Emotional abandonment. This is a betrayal that is difficult for a lot of people to get through. And one of the main reasons why is because emotional abandonment happens when your partner is physically present but emotionally unavailable. So some people might be dealing with this and not even really understand what is happening because their partner is there in person, but may not be connecting or on an emotional level or be emotionally available. So when this happens, it activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Studies show that rejection and neglect light up the brain's pain center like broken bones. So if anyone has ever had a broken bone, that same pain center that's lit up when you get a broken bone, that is the same pain center that's lit up when you are rejected or neglected. Long-term emotional abandonment can lead to attachment injuries, chronic loneliness, and a deep sense of unworthiness. The next betrayal we're going to talk about is financial betrayal. Now, financial betrayal is something we don't talk about a lot, and maybe I'll do a podcast episode on it one day. But it's things like hiding debt, secret spending, or financial manipulation. This can feel like a violation of safety. It triggers survival stress, especially if one partner is financially dependent. The betrayed partner may experience panic, shame, and a loss of control. This can lead to chronic stress, high blood pressure, and even trauma responses like disassociation. Let's go even deeper. When betrayal occurs, your brain goes into survival mode. Dopamine levels crash, disrupting your sense of pleasure and motivation. Oxytocin, the binding hormone, drops, making it hard to feel connected or safe. Other chemicals in your brain can spike, which can trigger anxiety, hypervigilance, and panic. So this neurochemical storm is why betrayal feels so overwhelming. It's not just heartbreak, it is a full-body trauma response. People who experience betrayal trauma can often report having flashbacks and nightmares, emotional numbness or rage, difficulty trusting others, even in future relationships, chronic self-doubt, and low self-esteem. Physical symptoms like fatigue, headache, and digestive issues. And if the betrayal echoes earlier trauma like childhood neglect or abuse, it can compound the pain, which leads to complex PTSD. So what we're going to do right now that we know about trauma, we know how it can affect your body, and if you're experiencing trauma or betrayal, now you know why you might feel anxious or why you might be hypervigilant. So what we want to do is kind of bring that down a little bit, learn how to control it, learn some skills that will help us to cope. So we're going to talk about ways to develop some coping skills so that we can deal with the trauma. In order to heal, we have to begin dealing with the trauma. What we're going to do right now is go over 5 exercises or coping skills that you can use that can be helpful to you as you process the trauma and try to work through it. Now, some of these exercises can be done by yourself or you can do them with a partner. The choice is totally up to you. Now, I will talk about how you can do them with a partner, but if you do not want to do them with your partner, then you can easily not do that and you can just work on yourself and just do it on yourself. We're going to explain in each exercise why it works and give you some insight on why this exercise can be helpful to you. So the first exercise we're going to discuss is called the trust timeline, and this helps with the trauma narrative map. Now, the reason this works is because trauma disrupts memory and emotional coherence. So mapping out betrayal and healing moments help integrate fragmented experiences and reduces emotional flooding. So in this exercise, what you would do is write down 3 to 5 moments when trust was broken, and then 3 to 5 moments when you felt emotionally safe. When you do this, I would like for you to use sensory language, like what did my body feel? What thoughts came up when I did this? And then after you do this, if you feel comfortable, you can share your map with your partner in a calm, structured setting where there's no interruptions or no rebuttals. But if you don't feel safe sharing with your partner, you can just sit down and share it with yourself and go over it and read what you wrote. If you're doing it with a partner, validate each other's experience without trying to fix or defend it. If you're doing it alone, validate your own experience without trying to fix or defend it. Now, this exercise is very helpful because it activates the prefrontal cortex, which is logic and empathy, and it calms the amygdala, or the fear center, helping your brain to reprocess the betrayal memory in a safe way. Exercise number 2, the apology audit. So this works because betrayal often involves gaslighting or minimizing. A full embodied apology restores dignity and emotional clarity. So, in this exercise, what I would ask you to do is reflect on past apologies. Were they vague, defensive, or incomplete? And then practice giving a full trauma informed apology. Now, this exercise is for someone who betrayed someone else's trust. And I know from experience that sometimes when we apologize, we do minimize it. We make it seem like, hey, it was no big deal. I don't know why they're upset. Or even, I've even heard people who betrayed their spouse and they said things like, I don't know why you're getting so upset about this. It's no big deal. So if you are someone who has betrayed someone's trust and has hurt someone, it is important for you to reflect on past apologies that were given to you and reflect, were they vague, were my feelings dismissed, was the person defensive or incomplete? And if you find that that's how you were apologized to, then I need you to practice giving a full trauma-informed apology, which includes eye contact, gentle tones, physical stillness to signal safety, okay? Now, this ritual rebuilds trust by activating the bonding hormones, which is oxytocin, and it reduces cortisol, which is stress and hormones. So, it is very important to do this, and this can definitely be very helpful, especially when paired with emotional validation. Because while you're apologizing, you don't want to put the person that you've already hurt through more pain. So, using this exercise to prepare yourself to apologize in a way that is calming and that can release bonding hormones in a way that can reduce stress hormones can be especially helpful when you are trying to restore trust in your relationship or in your marriage. Exercise number 3, the transparency agreement or the safety contract. Now, this works after a betrayal because the nervous system scans consistently for danger. Predictability and openness helps to regulate hypervigilance. So in this situation, if there's a situation where a partner was betrayed by their other partner, how you guys would handle this is that each partner would list what emotional and practical transparency looks like to them. Like, for example, sharing feelings, financial honesty, digital openness. And then choose 2 to 3 practices to implement this week. Revisit the agreement weekly to adjust based on emotional needs. This works because it can create structure and predictability, which help to soothe the limbic system, which governs emotional memory and fear response. The next exercise is the connection ritual, or the co-regulation practice. Why does this work? Because trauma isolates. Co-regulation, where 2 nervous systems sync through safe connections, this helps to restore emotional balance and intimacy. So here's how you would do this one. Choose a daily ritual that promotes emotional safety, like a 10-minute check-in, shared prayer, shared meditation, listening to calming music, or a gentle touch. Keep it consistent and sacred. No multitasking. Use grounding techniques like deep breathing or hand holding to enhance connection. Now, co-regulation is very helpful because it can help to shift the nervous system from fight or flight to rest and digest, increasing feelings of safety and belonging. Number 5, the trigger map. So this exercise is very helpful because it creates safety and it's an emotional safety blueprint. Triggers are trauma echoes, so this is why this exercise works. This exercise can help map through trauma echoes, and it can help partners respond with compassion instead of defensiveness. Now, I know this is difficult for a lot of people because no one wants to be told what they did to cause someone hurt, right? But sometimes it's necessary to discuss that and to hear that from someone that you've hurt without feeling defensive but responding with compassion, because when you realize you hurt someone deeply and you understand where they're coming from, it's easier to respond with compassion instead of defensiveness. So instructions for this exercise would be each partner identifies 3 emotional triggers and what helps soothe them, okay? So an example would be, I shut down when I feel dismissed. I need gentle reassurance. Share your maps and commit to honoring each other's needs during conflict. Use a pause word to signal when a trigger is activated and you need space. Now, another thing I want to suggest is this can be done with one person. One person can write down their emotional trigger, what soothes them, and then go over their map, and then honor their own emotional need during conflict within themselves. And the reason I say this is because a lot of times when safety is lost, when you are feeling trauma from betrayal, it's important for you to forgive yourself. It's important for you to share your emotions, understand what your triggers are, even your own personal triggers. And when you're having that internal conflict, it's important for you to commit to honoring what soothes you so that you can soothe your own emotional conflict. So you can do this with a partner or you can do this by yourself. This exercise builds emotional intelligence and it reduces reactivity to strengthening the brain's self-regulation pathways. So all of these things are very helpful. You can try any of these exercises. I want you to choose one of the exercises above and practice it gently and consistently. After each practice, journal the following. What did I feel in my body before, during, and after? What emotions came up? Did I feel safer, more connected, or more triggered? What do I need to feel supported next time? At the end of the week, share your reflections with a trusted partner, therapist, or a friend. This isn't just about rebuilding trust. It's about returning your nervous system to feel safe and connected again. So guys, that is the homework for the week, and I definitely encourage you to try it. Now, the song we're going to listen to this week is called Chaos, and it is by our podcast artist, Emery Rose, and the song is about a woman who is having so much chaos in her relationship that she is having a hard time beginning the healing process. Here is the song, Chaos.
They think that we're in love.
so much for joining me today on the Music and Therapy Podcast. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need it. And don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Remember, trust can be rebuilt, healing is possible, and you are worthy of love that feels safe. Before we wrap up, I want to give you a glimpse of what's coming next week on the Music and Therapy Podcast. Next week, we're going to be exploring a powerful and often overlooked part of healing, which is letting go of resentment. Until next time, have an amazing day and a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.